All right, thank you all for attending this week. We're going to get right into our meeting for this week. We're going to also have a special guest that'll come in and we'll talk about the world systems and how, in a way, we have to see that this world has overlapped our our world. We're going to say we have our own world, and there's a world that overlaps our world. So we're going to learn how to come out of that situation, come out of that overlapping that happens to us on a day-to-day basis. I'll be also going into some videos that we can learn from that talks about certain concepts you can learn from economics or learning how to utilize money, learning how to avoid situations and impacts that the world can do to you until you come out of it fully. You have to still deal with living in the same world that we're in every day. What I mean by the world, we're talking about constructs such as society, such as trading, bartering, living expenses. All these things will be able to put in full understanding today when you're talking about your real estate. So real estate, as I said last time we had a call about this, the first thing we think about is a house for sale when we think of real estate. But today we're going to talk about your real estate and how you are the person that's managing your real estate body that you have. So you are the physical real estate. But until we can fully grasp this and get to this, we're going to just talk about it and give more definition to it so that we can all accept it. Everyone hasn't fully accepted real estate yet, so we're going to be able to talk about it as much as we can to reason on this topic, because I know it can get kind of drowning when you're just dealing with only taxes. Taxes is just really just the first step. Taxes is the first step. Next after taxes is banking. Then after you get banking, of course you can't live without banking because you got to have money to pay your bills. Next is credit. Credit is something you're going to need too. Credit your account. Dealing with credit to deal with certain trade, because sometimes you don't have the funds, you may just need credit. And then the next step after that credit that a lot of us haven't got to yet is real estate, which is you. You're the real estate. So it's a difficult task because there's so much misinformation, as we know, that's out there in the world. But this is on purpose because you're not supposed to have all the knowledge and information that's already going on in their world. So we got to be very specific to show you that is the problem that we're all having today, is that we're learning how to unlearn the things that we were taught. So I'm going to open up with some videos that I was able to read and learn from. And some of the people that I learned from are already successful. I can't just learn from someone that doesn't have experiences of success. What I mean by success is something that you may have failed at something at one point. So you were able to give a life lesson behind that failure. And then you also corrected that failure and you began to get success after that. So there was, at first it starts off as experimenting. And then once you have got that experiment complete, that experiment now turns into something that becomes reality. So that's what we call our experience. So a lot of us have good experience in this world with business. And for however way that works to you, business can mean a lot to anyone. So I don't just throw around the word business, because I know business can be, interpreted in many ways to other people. As we had many calls on this for years, we talked about business. And we learned that a lot of people are not really doing business because in their system, when we say their system, we're talking about this system we're talking about now. This system tells you there's specific things that need to be in place for you to appear that you are doing business. So we're not getting into that technicality today. We're going to keep it simple and surface. Reason I'm going simple and surface right now is because I know everyone is still forgetting about the next level after that is real estate. So real estate is you building a brand new space from scratch. That's probably going to be the hardest part for all of us to accept. Building something from scratch. Now, a lot of us, when you think about real estate, you're thinking about a house that's already built. You're thinking about a mortgage. You're thinking about, how can I go grab this property I like. We're going to learn that that is basically you taking someone else's stuff. And you should really want to build everything from scratch yourself. You want to have a blueprint, you want to have plans, and you want to build. Has to be a vision. You write the vision, you make it plain, and then you build it, right? But that's not the world. The world doesn't teach you to do that. We're taught to buy things already built. So that's what we're going to talk about is when we think about real estate, we have to start rewiring our mind, unlearning the concepts that we thought, and starting to use that concept of building again, because you're now the new builder, not a construction guy, but you. You're the first builder. So that's what I want to entryway into this whole concept of coming out of their world system is once you do this, you're going to have to learn how to maneuver without the world. So there's things you're going to need. You're going to need to learn how to live what they call off the grid. What is off the grid to you? That means that you built your own house or space or location, whatever it is. You have a water system. You have resources where water is coming to you because it's water. You can't live without water, right? So you got to have water. They had a recent report, and I'll go into a tangent. Someone got arrested in their world because they were collecting rainwater on their land, on their property, and they were using the water freely. And what happened was the state was able to come at them and say, "Hey, you can't do that," and they were actually at the end charged based upon a state's ordinance or whatever that is. So where I'm going at is to show you these things are overlapping your space. And how do you overcome that? These are going to be concepts and strategies that you'll be able to use throughout your time because you can't get out of knowing things that you already know. So if you already know something, you got to now apply it. You can't just keep talking about it, right? So that's what we're here to do every Sunday. We want to ask the hard questions. We want to be able to display the answers. We want to be able to have access to all these things because if we don't have access to it, then it's as if we're not going anywhere. So I'm going to go into a video that changed and shaped a few things into my mind throughout these weeks. And I realized that at the end of the day, we all have to begin to think this way. And the first step is coming out of the mindset of being an employee. Now, this is going to be hard because an employee is someone that always works. And we also can define this person as a consumer. A consumer is the way this world is designed, such as the corporation. The United States corporation is designed as a consumerist market. So everything you do, it's all based upon how many people are going to buy it, right? So you have to figure out a way to come out of that mindset, how to come out of the way that everybody has been taught and everybody does, which is called consumerism. So I'm going to give you some good, valuable knowledge today that I'll share as a video because I know sometimes it can be hard to conceptualize this, but it's best to hear from people who are already have been able to keep everything on point, right? And sometimes they may be having some dark backgrounds or whatever it is that but it doesn't mean that what they said isn't true. So I'm going to give you all this right here. There's a 5 financial secrets you must keep in silence, right? So these are some of the things I'm going to share with you today for now, and then we'll get into some more hard questions and concepts of this real estate that you are and you're supposed to manage within yourself. So just bear with me in just a moment. I'm going to share this screen. All right, so I'm having some issues with the video loading, but this video was going to go into the what do you say, the 5 secrets of financial We're going to say financial health because some of us may not realize you need to have a healthy relationship. You know, you can't just have a bad relationship with your everything that you do, right? You want to make sure everything is healthy. So that's why I wanted to concept this right here so we can see what it is for someone that's already lived in this world, this vicious cycle that has already been placed over us, and learn from what this means to you. What does it mean to you whenever you're coming out of this situation? And we'll be able to talk about that in a few. Let me see if this works now. I think it does. Okay, so
with its mouth closed never gets caught. There is an old saying that I think about often. A fish with its mouth closed never gets caught. In the world of finance, your mouth is not an asset. It is the biggest liability on your balance sheet. Most people think that wealth is about loud cars, loud clothes, and loud conversations. They think it is about showing the world that you have made it, but they are wrong. Real wealth is quiet. Real power is silent. And the moment you break that silence, you invite a force that can destroy everything you have built. Welcome to the Shadow Code. Today, we are going to talk about the 5 financial secrets you must never share with anyone. Not your neighbors, not your coworkers, and in some cases, not even your family. Before we get to the specific secrets, you need to understand the environment we are living in. I call it the dark forest of wealth. Imagine you are walking through a dark forest at night. You have a flashlight. If you turn it on and shine it around, you might feel better for a moment. You might feel proud that you have a light. But in a dark forest, a light does not attract friends. It attracts predators. Human nature has not changed in 10,000 years. We are wired for envy. We are wired for competition. Sociologists call this the crab bucket effect. If you put one crab in a bucket, it can crawl out. But if you put 10 crabs in a bucket and one tries to crawl out, the other 9 will grab its legs and pull it back down. They do not pull it down because they want to escape. They pull it down because they do not want it to escape. When you share your financial success or your next big move or your brilliant investment strategy, you are not inspiring people. You are triggering their biological instinct to pull you back into the bucket. You are creating resistance where there was none. In ancient times, people believed in the evil eye. They believed that a look of envy could curse your good fortune. Today, we call it by different names. We call it lawsuits. We call it borrowing money. We call it bad advice given by jealous friends. We call it social pressure. But the mechanism is the same. When you broadcast your signal, you jam your own frequency. In the game of capitalism, information is the most valuable commodity. Think about how I invest. When I am buying shares of a company, let's say Apple or Coca-Cola, do I go on television and talk about it? Do I tweet about it? No, I go completely dark. I buy in silence, day after day, week after week. I accumulate my position in the shadows. Why? Because if I told you I was buying, the price would go up. The seller would want more. The competition would rush in. My edge would disappear. Silence is what allows me to buy $1 for 50 cents. The moment I speak, the opportunity cost skyrockets. You must view your life the same way. You are the CEO of your own life, and a CEO never reveals his strategic map to the enemy. And make no mistake, in the fight for financial freedom, almost everyone who is not on your payroll is a potential enemy. This sounds dark. I know. You want to believe that everyone wants the best for you. You want to believe that your friends will applaud when you make your first million. But let me tell you the brutal truth. Your success holds up a mirror to their failure. When you tell them you made money, they don't hear, he is smart. They hear, I am stupid. And to protect their ego, they will subconsciously try to sabotage you. They will tell you it's a bubble. They will tell you to sell. They will ask for a loan. They will guilt trip you into paying for dinner. Silence protects you from all of this. Silence is not just about keeping secrets. It is a strategic camouflage. It allows you to move through the world unbothered. It allows you to compound your money without the friction of other people's opinions. Now we are going to walk through the 5 specific things you must keep in the vault. These are not just tips. These are the laws of survival. If you violate them, you leak your power. If you keep them, you build a fortress that no one can breach. Let's enter the forest. Let us begin with the first secret. This is the foundation of the shadow code. You must never, under any circumstances, reveal the exact number of your net worth to anyone outside of your legal spouse and your tax accountant. This sounds simple, but in a world of social media, flexes, and ego-driven conversations, it is the hardest discipline to master. You might feel the urge to tell your best friend that you just crossed the $1 million mark. You want to share the joy. You want a pat on the back. But you must understand a dark law of human psychology. Once people know the number, they stop seeing you as a friend. They start seeing you as a bank. I call this the audit trap. Let me explain exactly how this destroys relationships. When your friends and family think you earn roughly the same amount as them, you are peers. You are equals. If you go out to dinner and you say, I cannot afford the lobster tonight, let's get a burger, they nod, they understand, they respect your budget. But the moment they know you are sitting on a pile of cash, the dynamic shifts instantly. Suddenly, every dollar you spend is audited by them. If you refuse to buy the expensive wine, they do not think you are being prudent. They think you are being stingy. They say things like, come on, Warren, you can afford it. You are rich. Why are you being so cheap? They feel entitled to your money. They believe that because you have a financial surplus and they have a financial deficit, you have a moral obligation to fix their problems. If you do not pay for the dinner, you are a bad friend. If you do not loan them money for their car repair, you are selfish. You lose the right to say no without becoming the villain in their story. This is why you see so many lottery winners end up depressed and alone. It is not the money that ruined them. It is the fact that everyone knew about the money. They became a walking target. Every cousin they haven't seen in 20 years suddenly shows up with a sob story. Every neighbor has a business idea that just needs a little capital. When you reveal your net worth, you put blood in the water. And you cannot blame the sharks for coming. That is what sharks do. You must also understand the concept of price discrimination. This is an economic term, but it applies to your daily life. When you walk into a negotiation, information is leverage. If a contractor comes to fix your roof and he sees an old Honda in the driveway and you look like a struggling retiree, he gives you the fair market price. But if he knows you just sold your company for $10 million, the price of that roof repair just tripled. He is not charging you for the labor. He is charging you a tax on your success. He thinks, this guy has so much money, he won't even notice the extra $5,000. And he is right. He might not notice it. But that is how wealth bleeds away. Death by 1,000 cuts. If you want to get the best deal, you must be perceived as someone who needs a good deal. Look at me, I have billions of dollars, but I live in the same house I bought in 1958. I drive a modest car. I eat fast food. People think this is just me being a quirky old man. They're wrong. This is a strategic defense mechanism. By appearing ordinary, I keep my interactions honest. People do not try to gouge me because I do not project the image of a walking ATM machine. There is tremendous power in being underestimated. When people think you are just getting by, they lower their guard. They tell you the truth. They do not try to manipulate you. But the moment you flash the Rolex or talk about your portfolio size, the masks go on. So how do you handle this? You practice the art of strategic poverty. When people ask how you are doing financially, you never lie, but you never tell the whole truth. You say things like, well, the market is tough right now. Or you say, I have a lot of expenses with the kids. Or you say, everything is tied up in illiquid assets. You keep it vague. You keep it boring. You want them to think you are doing okay, but that you are not liquid. If they think you are cash poor, they will never ask you for a loan. And if they never ask, you never have to say no. And if you never have to say no, the friendship survives. Protecting your number is not about being secretive for the sake of it. It is about protecting the equality in your relationships. Money creates a hierarchy. If you want to keep your friends, keep the hierarchy hidden. Let them guess, let them wonder, but never ever give them the receipt. Now we move to the second secret. This one is about your future. You must never reveal your next move until you have already made it. This applies to your investments, this applies to your business ideas, and this applies to your career changes. There is a deep biological flaw in the human brain that destroys your ability to achieve big goals. Psychologists call it the premature celebration. Here's what happens. You have a great idea. You decide you are going to start a company. You are excited. The adrenaline is pumping. So you go to dinner with your friends and you tell them everything. You lay out the whole plan. And your friends say, wow, that is amazing. You are so smart. That is going to be huge. In that moment, your brain releases a massive hit of dopamine. It gives you the pleasure of achievement before you have done a single minute of actual work. Your brain cannot tell the difference between the validation of talking about it and the satisfaction of actually doing it. So you go home and you feel full. The hunger is gone. You wake up the next morning and you have no drive to execute. You have already received the reward without paying the price. Talking is the enemy of execution. But there is a darker, more dangerous reason to keep your next move silent. It's called sabotage. Sun Tzu wrote in The Art of War, let your plans be dark and impenetrable as night, and when you move, fall like a thunderbolt. If you tell people your strategy, you are handing them the weapon to use against you. In business, if I tell the world I am accumulating shares in a specific sector, the prices go up instantly. I am creating my own competition. I am destroying my own edge. In your career, if you tell your coworker you are applying for that promotion, you think you are just sharing news, but they might be competing for the same role. Now they know your hand. They can start spreading rumors. They can block you. They can outmaneuver you, not because they are evil, but because they are human. Humans compete for resources. And then there are the critics. The moment you announce a big plan, you invite the skeptics into your life. They will tell you all the reasons why it will fail. They will say the economy is bad. They will say you do not have the experience. They will say that has never been done before. These doubts are like a virus. They plant a seed of fear in your mind. And when things get hard, and things always get hard, that seed will grow into paralysis. You will start to hear their voices in your head. You will think maybe they were right. Maybe I should just stay safe. You must protect your vision in the early stages. A new idea is like a baby. It is fragile. It cannot survive the cold wind of criticism. It needs warmth. It needs protection. You have to keep it in the incubator of silence until it is strong enough to stand on its own. Do not tell people what you are going to do. Show them what you have done. Results are the only thing that cannot be argued with. When you show up with the finished product, with the signed contract, with the check in hand, nobody can tell you it is impossible because it is already real. You must learn to operate in the shadows. Think about the most powerful people in history. They did not broadcast their intentions. They moved quietly. They built their fortresses while everyone else was busy talking. The urge to share your plans is just your ego asking for attention. It is your insecurity asking for reassurance. Starve the ego, feed the work. Let the results make the noise for you. Let us move to the third secret. This is the one that separates the wealthy from the wannabes. You must never share your edge. Your edge is the specific knowledge, the unique strategy, or the unfair advantage that allows you to make money. In the investment world, we call this alpha. It is the ability to beat the market. There is a fundamental law in economics called the efficient market hypothesis. It states that if a way to make money becomes public knowledge, everyone will do it, and the profit will disappear. It is like finding a $20 bill on the sidewalk. You can pick it up. But if you tell 1,000 people there are $20 bills on that sidewalk, by the time you get back, they will all be gone. If you find a goose that lays golden eggs, you do not invite your neighbors to come and look at the goose. You build a fence, you build a wall, you put a lock on the gate, because if you show them the goose, sooner or later, someone will try to steal it, or the government will try to tax it, or your competition will try to clone it. Look at Coca-Cola. I have owned Coca-Cola stock since 1988. Do you know what their most valuable asset is? It is not the factories. It is not the trucks. It is the recipe. The formula for Coca-Cola is one of the most guarded secrets in the history of commerce. It is kept in a vault in Atlanta. Only 2 people know the full formula at any given time, and they are not allowed to fly on the same plane. Why go to such lengths? Because if they published the recipe on the internet tomorrow, there would be 10,000 generic versions of Coke. Their margin would collapse. Their moat would dry up. They understand that secrecy is the source of their profit. But in the age of social media, people do the opposite. They find a way to make money. Maybe it is a drop shipping niche. Maybe it is a trading algorithm. Maybe it is a real estate loophole. And what do? They go on YouTube and they teach everyone how to do it. They sell a course for $99. They trade their golden goose for a little bit of fame. And then they wonder why the strategy stops working. It stops working because you told the world. You created your own competition. You turned your alpha into beta. You must understand this brutal truth. If someone is selling you a map to a gold mine, it is because the mine is empty. If the mine was full, they would be digging, not selling maps. True winners are silent. They are busy exploiting the inefficiency in the market before anyone else notices. So if you have found an edge, keep it, protect it. Do not let your ego trick you into bragging. Your ego wants to show the world how smart you are. It wants to explain the complex method you use to win. But your bank account wants you to look like a lucky idiot. Let people think you are just lucky. Let them think you stumbled into success. While they are debating your luck, you are compounding your advantage. The moment you explain your magic trick, the audience stops applauding and starts trying to copy it. Never give away the recipe. Now we arrive at the fourth secret. This is the most painful one because it involves the people you love the most. You must never tell your children or your extended family exactly how much money they're going to inherit. There is a poison that destroys wealthy families. It is not drugs. It is not gambling. It is the knowledge of future wealth. I have seen this tragedy play out 1,000 times. A successful father builds a business. He makes millions. And he tells his children, don't worry, one day this will all be yours. In that moment, he thinks he is giving them security. But in reality, he just took away their hunger. He took away their drive. Why study hard in school if you know you're going to be rich anyway? Why take a risk and start your own career if you have a golden parachute waiting for you? We call this the waiting game. The children stop building their own lives and start waiting for their parents to die. It sounds horrific, but it is a subconscious shift. They become what Charlie Munger called trust fund babies with gray hair. They are 50 years old and they have never done anything real because the shadow of the inheritance paralyzed them. My philosophy on this is simple. You should leave your children enough money so that they would feel they could do anything, but not so much that they could do nothing. And the only way to achieve this balance is to keep the number a secret until the very end. If they think they are getting nothing, they will work like they are getting nothing. They will build their own muscles. They will learn to hunt. And then if you do leave them a surprise, it will be a bonus, not a crutch. But there is another reason to keep this secret, and that is family war. Money is thicker than blood. If you tell your 3 children how you plan to divide your estate, you are inviting a civil war into your living room. Maybe you plan to give more to the daughter who took care of you when you were sick. Maybe you plan to give less to the son who has a gambling problem. These are your decisions. They are rational. But to them, it is not rational. It is a measurement of your love. If they know the numbers while you are still alive, Thanksgiving dinner becomes a negotiation. They will fight for your favor. They will manipulate you. They will resent each other. I have seen siblings who stopped talking to each other for 20 years because of a dispute over a will that hadn't even been executed yet. You must build a silence wall around your estate plan. Tell them you have taken care of things. Tell them they will be fine, but do not give them a spreadsheet. Do not let them count the money while you are still breathing. Your job as a parent is not just to provide for them financially. It is to protect them from the corrosiveness of unearned wealth. Let them struggle a little. Let them wonder. The struggle is where the character is built. And character is the only inheritance that the tax man cannot take away. And finally, we come to the 5th secret. This is the ultimate test of your character. You must never broadcast your good deeds, your charity, or your acts of kindness. We live in an era of virtue signaling. People give $10 to a homeless person, and then they spend an hour posting about it on Instagram to get 1,000 likes. They are not being kind. They are trading. They are trading a small amount of money for a large amount of social status. In my father's house, we learned about the inner scorecard versus the outer scorecard. The outer scorecard is what the world thinks of you. The inner scorecard is what you think of yourself. If you do something good and you feel the need to tell everyone, it means you are living by the outer scorecard. You are empty inside, so you need the applause of others to fill you up. But if you can do something magnificent, if you can help a friend in trouble, if you can donate anonymously and never tell a soul, you build something far more valuable than reputation. You build spiritual equity. You prove to yourself that you are a good person, not because you want credit, but because it is who you are. This applies to your struggles as well. just as you should not broadcast your charity. You should not broadcast your grievances. There is a saying in football, never tell people your problems. 90% of them don't care, and the other 10% are glad you have them. When you complain, you show your belly. You show your weakness. In the game of wealth, you want to be impenetrable. You want to be the person who helps others but needs no help himself. So let us review the shadow code. 1, protect your net worth. Do not let them audit you. 2, protect your next move. Do not let them sabotage you. 3, protect your edge. Do not let them copy you. 4, protect your inheritance plan. Do not let them fight over you. 5, protect your good deeds. Do not let your ego corrupt you. If you can master these 5 silences, you will become a force of nature. The loudest person in the room is usually the weakest. They are loud because they are trying to convince you they matter. The quietest person in the room is usually the most dangerous. They are quiet because they already know they have the power. Be the quiet one. Build your fortress in the dark. Let your results be the only noise you make. And when you finally step into the light, you won't need to say a word. The world will already know who you are. That's all. Thanks for watching.
Wow, awesome. Powerful information, great knowledge that we heard from Warren Buffett. This guy, he's a billionaire. So we're getting some great information. I think it's great that we hear this because we're learning more about things that we may not have realized when we get to a higher level, such as estate planning, where you're dealing with real estate, as well as yourself. And we're getting into the next level, which is your businesses. That's the highest level, I believe, to myself, is that if you have a business and it's a successful business and it's able to cash flow or bring forward, we'll say, funding, this is something that you want to guard and make sure that it's successful to you. So that's why we get into these talks and calls every week to talk about how once you get out of this world and out of this system that they have in place, how are you going to keep it? It's one of the hardest things. The reason why we do these calls every week is because if it was about just putting ourselves on YouTube or just to talk to people, then you wouldn't show consistency, even for yourself, because this isn't about just seeing if it works. It's about how long can you make it work? How long can you keep it? This is one of the tests that I've learned for myself. And I'm learning more each day, and I'm actually able to come out with more and more data every time we have these types of talks. So what we wanted to talk about today was some of the topics of how you can build real estate. And you're going to do this from scratch because you have certain things. I know we get into construction mode, like we're trying to hurry up and go buy a house, right? But what if you had to do all this stuff from scratch? You can't go just hurry up and buy a house. What if you had to build everything from scratch? All right, has anybody ever ventured into this thought? And if you have, what to you will be the first thing you'll be able to do and live and operate if you were to live this way with we'll say, your operation, your business, your household? That's one of the biggest parts that I see with having this is real estate. Once you get to real estate, it's really ongoing forever. You're never going to stop real estate. And then next after that, you have to manage a business, which is yourself. As we already talked about many times with our calls, we talk about how you're a business, and now you're able to go into like what they'll say technicalities, these EINs. That's cool. Now you have EINs. What's next? That's what we're talking about. And that's what we have to think about when you're strategically moving with this information. And I know that it's out there now since the knowledge has been placed out with the ABB process. We'll talk about how many are saying they're going to do the ABB. And this is a tax form, right? At the end of the day, these have always been tax forms. It's nothing really public about that. Taxes is private. They always tell you this. You don't have to actually share anything at all to anyone, which is your taxes, right? Does anybody know about that law, that privacy law of how if you're dealing with your taxes, your numbers, and things of that sort, that you actually do not have to share that information at all? I wanted to make sure we had went into these types of things because sometimes we may forget of the perplexity of this information to prove it. Some of the information I thought about when we get into the IRS website is some of the things that we go into with taxes. That's very, we'll say on the bottom level, foundational level is taxes. And banking is next after taxes. And then after taxes, we talk about credit. But we rarely get people ask questions or even thoughts about real estate. Like, do you even see yourself on land? Do you have land? Do you plan to buy land? Do you see yourself having a house? Are you going to build a house? How are you going to do this? Are you going to do this from scratch? Do you have blueprints? So these are some of the things I believe that our mind has to come out of the world. Because if you're still in the world, you're still thinking, hey, how can I go buy this big mansion I saw on TV? When if you buy this big mansion you saw on TV, this could be XYZ amount of cash flow money or whatever way that is, right? Now, we're not saying you can't do that. It's just to move into the mindset of what exactly is your plan when you say you're going to be dealing with your real estate, the real estate. So I was giving out time. I think I have the guy. He'll be coming in soon with the guest speaking on today. I'll be sending him a link in just a few, but I wanted to get any feedback to anyone else of what is it that your mindset is going to do once you have any of these things in place, such as you have a business or you have your estate or you have your household. How would you maneuver and use that as a business as you begin to work inside this system? And I'll go into any type of Q&A at this point. I think the mics were muted from this point. Let me let you all unmute the mic. Didn't realize that till now.
So the first question is how to make it look like a business, your real estate ventures.
No, not necessarily make it look like anything. It's you actually using it now
Right,
without,
right.
let's say, without the United States. If you were without the world right now, how would you maneuver yourself on a visual perspective? Of course, you don't have to give us all of your full blueprints of things like Warren Buffett gave us, but like, how would you maneuver? How would you move out here with just your businesses, your EINs?
Well, I would categorize everything and figure out what it is that I'm going to charge or price my efforts and my workload taking care of my business. Itemize certain things so it could be structurally in place, and then
Okay, are you
start.
asking more like you speaking more like technical in a way, or are you speaking more of just like what is it that you'll be managing? Will you have maybe some land, or would you have you're building on some land or something like that? Or you may own a business or something that's already working or running, whatever that is, right?
Right. So I already how I'm executing my daily operations. That's how I was trying to word it, and from there, um, just be able to try to master it and replicate as far as like acquiring more assets and just maximizing the opportunity.
Great, that's no problem. That's a great answer to it. Like you say, maximizing your opportunity, buying assets, buying things that will we'll say not be in liabilities in one form. A lot of people buy liabilities, but we're getting out of the liabilities and getting more into the assets. So yes, that would be one of the answers I would get into. Now let's get more. Let's get more of we'll say visual. How would you live on land without? We'll say that, like for instance, some people may are into solar, or they may have wind energy or whatever other way to get access to off the grid electricity, right? So how would that look to someone if they were to venture into that? These are like visuals to the point where now you don't need the utility company, right?
Right.
So how would you live without the utility company? Will be one of the first questions we'll ask, since we're going to go down the line of a lot of things that we depend on that's based upon the system of the world. How would you in a way deal with, we'll say, utilities with that perspective?
I would look into a hydro pump system where I can try to generate electricity off of flowing water some kind of way. Also, making sure I plant my fruits and vegetables and those fundamental things, and have
Now
some
we getting now we're
livestock
getting somewhere. Now we're getting somewhere. So you will actually plant your own food and garden in some form.
and raise my own livestock. Yes.
There we go. So now we talk. So now you need some land. You see where I'm
Right.
going? So I wouldn't even
Right.
try to go buy a house first when I get some money. I'll be first going to go buy some land. Does that make sense? Like if you're thinking about, everybody has their own way of seeing their strategy plan or their portfolio once you have your business rolling, right? So that goes right into real estate right there. That's your real estate, what you just gave us. I'm just talking. I just wanted to see if anyone else is capturing how we're seeing this from, let's say you're outside, you're off the grid now. You're without United States. How would you operate? Especially if you're in this game of the trust law. Anyone else want to volunteer maybe their perspective on this? And I'll give a perspective that I'm able to work on too. Okay, so for now I give my perspective of it. And this real estate that I'll bring up is more of a real estate that's more of like commercial. So I'll say like a commercial real estate will be more of what I would venture into first for myself, and how I will be able to manage, which will say multiple ventures or businesses in some form with commercial real estate. So that is an aspect of where somebody talks about using commercial real estate. Now, let's say if I'm non-commercial, how do I get in? How do I live this way if I'm non-commercial? So the answer to that will be as simple: operating in an unincorporated situation where it's not public, right? It's a unincorporated store, or maybe something that is a family store. They'll say, hey, maybe you don't have a business idea, but you can create a store. So that's why we went into the family store idea perspective too, that everyone can have their own store if they create a store. Whatever it is that you can sell, they say that, or you buy already. Because some of the things you already buy, you're buying at a corporation. So how would you survive without Walmart? How would you survive without Publix or any of the big grocery stores? You see, these are things that you're supposed to think on. It's the same resources that you're already buying. These are the world systems that they already have for your business and for you to buy. They say buy and sell, trade. So these are the layers that we're going to get into more as we talk about we'll say real estate, because real estate is one of the hardest things that we'll say that we forget about. And we say your real estate. So just in the IRS perspective, right? Let's say that I was living without the IRS, without the, whatever way they have the system, the way it's set up, right? The best way to explain this is still goes into bartering and trading. So I'll still be in the bartering and trading perspective, but I wouldn't need the IRS. I wouldn't need to use their system at that point if I'm actually able to do this without, we'll say, any money, right? Because that's really what's being tracked. What's tracked is really, to you all, is cash. You're being tracked by the fiat, if we want to make it simple, right? So if you're still using the currency of the fiat currency upon this commerce, then in a way there is still a form of jurisdiction, where the jurisdiction comes in from the card, whether you're using the card or you're using the cash, right? So these are the formats that we're saying that you're going to be able to learn how to maneuver when you say you're living without the system. Like, for instance, we say a utility company. So the first things that's been opened up for us to think on, like if you were living without utility company, will probably be, hey, I need to, like brother brought up, he said some hydro energy. Are we thinking of hydro energy every day? Or are we just saying, hey, I'm just going to go pay this utility bill? Let me just go pay and keep these lights on. Let me just pay and get this water going. Or you could be dealing with probably drilling the well, right? Well, where's the money that could have went to drilling the well this year? That's where we're going at. So by the time you paid 3 or 4 or 5 utility bills, you probably could have had a solar panel. Matter of fact, you could have probably had the batteries or everything already installed at the house, right? So this gets you into the unincorporated mindset, because your mind is being set as being unincorporated, because you're no longer incorporated, because the incorporated one is still connected most of the time to the corporations. That's why we're saying this to the format of where you're now without United States, you're now without the systems. So you're not looking to get a mortgage, because if you get a mortgage, instantly you're in the system. Now, if you just went ahead and bought land and you pay for private contractors, there's no mortgage, right? It's just that simple. So these are the things that we're saying. Like, it's easy when you think of it, but if you're not thinking of it, when you're in this perspective, you're taking it right back in. You're taking it right back into the system. So it doesn't look different. It looks the same. So that's what they were going into these perspectives. We got to think of everything that we had going on, such as the bills, the expenses, the liabilities, how we're coming out of those liabilities, coming out of those expenses, coming out of those debts and things of that sort. So we got one of the brethren that'll be coming in today around 7 o'clock. He'll be going into some knowledge of what has overlaid us or overlapped our soul, where we're still stuck in the system, even if one has everything done. We can have everything updated. You can have all of your all of your systems updated, all of your documents. You can have your trust. You can have your taxes. You can have your banking done. You can have your credit card. You can even have your real estate, right? But how do you have the real estate is the question today. Is what's going to determine how you're coming out of the system, because your real estate is technically was holding you in on this what we call this land, right? Your real estate. And some of us know that your real estate more likely is your body, because you can't attach that always to a house or to a location, because it's all about you. Whenever they're looking at the property or the house or the land, they're not looking at the house or the land at that point. They're looking at you. So at the end of the day, we got to start thinking on that first, as being the first perspective to ourselves of being the real estate. And the last one we'll get into on a later point, we'll be talking about the businesses. Like we say, the EINs. Like, say, hey, you got 10 EINs, brother, sister, you got 10 EINs. That's great. You're managing each of those businesses. Every one is a business. Every single EIN. right? So this is where it gets to the nitty gritty. Like, why do you have all these businesses? It's because you're looking to manage them and to remain unincorporated. Yes, congratulations. All of us are getting out. That's the first step. Now your next step is to stay out. Then you got to keep your stuff going. You got to keep it. Because that's the part that we're going to be talking about, how the system is designed to keep this vicious cycle going if you're not careful. So I'll close right here, and I think the brother, when I see his name is up now, and I'll introduce him. He'll be coming in to speak on the system or world systems as well. He's came in before speaking about the world systems and banking systems, but we'll be talking about the world system in some format today. All right, brother, are you there? I think you can. Everyone can unmute.
I'm here. Shalom, brother. Thank everyone. Thank you, Brother Ra, for inviting me again today. Well, today I will share some of the information I've shared with the class on last time I visited, but also I'm going to incorporate to get you past the initiate stage. So when last time I introduced some of these world systems and the players of the world system from a fundamental occultic standpoint. So what I'm going to do today is show you what Brother Wallace talks about is the life system, or the system of life that is governing your microcosm, where the macrocosm system is directly affecting your microcosm. And as Brother Wallace mentioned, you can have everything right in your microcosm, but if it's in all with or is against the macrocosm, there will be consequences. So I want to show you the system that is hidden or in plain sight. So what I want to do today is show you a couple of infographics, and I want to kind of have a question and answer dialogue for, if I could borrow your brains for right 30 to 45 minutes. I promise I won't hold y'all as long as I did last time, but I want to actually go into, I'm going to show you some infographics, and I want some people to tell me what they know about each infographic that I display on the screen. Brother Rod, do I have access to the screen?
Yes, sir. It should be ready to go now.
All right, thank you. All right. All right, I want to make sure everyone can see the screen. All right. Can everybody see the screen well?
Yes.
All right, absolutely. Okay, this is where I want to start, where some people talk about the matrix or the system. The system is set up against us. When people use these cliches, what do they actually mean about the system? So I want to kind of divulge some information, and let's talk about the system. So with this first diagram, I want to show you what is the consciousness of the people that control this world system. So when Brother Wallace mentioned about having a trust, you can have credit cards, you can have all these things, but yet it is going against what is the established system for all the people who are dead. So this is the system set up by the living people for the dead people. So I want to first get that in your mind first and foremost. So if we start at the top of the pyramid, we see the top of the pyramid is prison, warden, consciousness, fourth dimension. Now under that dimension, you have what everyone talks about, who they call the one percenters, the global elite, the globalists. And you see this entails certain conglomerates, certain entities encapsulate this prison ward consciousness. So right underneath the prison ward consciousness of this world, you have the elite who are devout followers of the prison ward consciousness. They believe it above anything else is the prison ward consciousness. Now, these are some of the examples. I have some documents that I may share. I may even share the Committee of 300 document I'm going to show you another infographic with the Black nobility and the Illuminati. Some of these terms, some may be familiar with from the internet or from some occultic readings if they read the occultic. And under that, we have the Illuminized Freemasonry. So you have Freemasonry that was not Illuminized, and you have Freemasonry that has been totally Illuminized. And so throughout history, it eventually engulfed all of Freemasonry in some aspect or another. Also, you have here, many of you may not be familiar with this next group, the Knights of Malta or other knight societies, the Knights of the Garter, the Knights of Columbus, the Knights of Malta, the Skull and Bone Society, and other quote unquote secret societies. Secret meaning hidden. They just have hidden societies. These societies are not hidden in the sense that because it's an oxymoron. You say, well, if they're secret societies, how do we know about them, Brother Malik? It's because the information engulfed and encompassed in the group is only for the group. And what we tell everyone existential of the group, we all agree that we're going to tell everyone existential of the group about our conglomerate or our society. We're going to give them this information or this literature or this dogma. So when you get to the next level, you see the world itself is already broken up under these categories. If you see mind manipulation, the elite military, the intelligence agencies, the drug and arms trade. You have the religious perspective or the theological. I always throw theology, the study of God, or theology from religion, because religion, when we see the definition of religion, most people just think of a faith. But it's, to do something religiously means you just do it repetitiously. So I like to throw religion / theology / mythology. But I'm gonna have infographics for everything that I demonstrate. But I want to kind of give us a general overview at first. Next, we have what Brother Wallace is talking to y'all today about is banking and business. And then you have the other arm, which is politics. So many of you fall into one of these 7 categories. You have been indoctrinated into the prison ward consciousness administered by these global elites through their societies who make up the systems or the structures of life. So even if you're operating in the banking system, you have to be aware of all of these entities. These are entities, conglomerates, businesses are considered people. So they have equal rights under the color of law as you do as a living human. So I want you to understand that this is how they have perceived the consciousness of the collective, which these people are the collective. And this is their consciousness because they have the power and resources in order to control the people who they built or set up these societies to control. Now, do any of you know any of these institutes over here? We'll start with the left. The Tavistock Institute, the Stanford Institute, the Rand Corporation. And you see that they are under the aspect of mind manipulation. And if you come under these, what they call think tanks, you have what's next? Tax exempt foundations. Now, how many of you, because we are in civics, so I'm going to incorporate the civics on this. What are tax exempt foundations? Someone in this physics class, in this civics class, can you explain to me what does this mean when it says tax exempt foundations?
Precisely. I mean, exactly.
Could you give an explication of what a tax exempt foundation, how does a tax exempt foundation set itself up? What are the rules for a tax exempt foundation? Are there any rules? Are there any guidelines? Any stipulations?
And everything that they do is tax exempt. They don't pay any taxes.
And what are the parameters for them to not pay taxes? Can you give us an example in the American civil law of an example of a tax exempt foundation?
A trust?
A trust. All right. Good example. Can you give me another one?
A 501c3.
There you go. That's what I really was trying to look for. 5013C. That has a code, correct, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right. And that's based upon an agreement between one said entity and another said entity. Is that correct?
Also a 508.
Okay. Well, all of these are still under the premise of being tax exempt. Whether, as you mentioned, the 508, 501(c), trust fund, all of these are under the umbrella of tax exempt, correct?
Yes.
All right. So every one of these people at the very top that I first started off with, all of them possess a tax exempt foundation. Everyone in the global elite, the Black nobility, the Illuminati, the Council of 300, the Freemasons, the Knights of Malta, the Knights of Columbus, the Order of the Garter, the Skull and Bones, and other secret societies all have tax exempt foundational status. Why is that so important for these prison ward consciousness who's controlling everything in the world, these global elite? Why is it necessary for them to have tax exempt foundations?
Maximize their funds to accomplish the goal.
Absolutely. And here are, I'm glad that you say this. So we get the prototype, we get the archetype, and then we get the prototype. And the prototype produces what? Examples. You repeat and recall the prototype because the prototype comes from the archetype, which is the foundational basis of this said system. So for their system of mind manipulation, they have what? What they call it. The think tanks, the most intellectual people who think about how to psychologically and sociologically manipulate the masses. And what is the first mechanism that they use? As I showed, tax exempt status, which the brother said they could utilize group economics. Through this group economics, being able to trade with other like-minded individuals in that global elite, they're able to give each other money tax-free through these tax-exempt foundations. Notice they gave us some examples. Drug companies, Pfizer, for example, National Health Organization, the WHO. Then you have what? Another part or arm or extension of it is the World Health Organization, which they would notice the word indicative of the world. So the world is also engaged in this tax exempt foundation, which is the basis of the first arm of the prison ward consciousness, this system, which is set up to manipulate you. That's the first thing we must do is manipulate the masses. Through what? World Health Organizations, education, and science, as an example, UNESCO, and other UN agencies. Now, through this apparatus, it comes where? Into media. And the media gives the information to who? The people at the bottom. Who do they say at the bottom? The human race. Is that the white man at the bottom? Is that the black man at the bottom? Is that the red man at the bottom? What does it say? Anybody with human are at the bottom, but they have themselves at the top. So who are these human race that they're talking about? They're talking about the average you and me, who are not aware of the system and the intricate workings of the system. Again, this is showing you the elite network. I'm giving you a summarized version of the elite network. Now I can show you and demonstrate it more, but I don't want to take you too far into it. I just want to give you the understanding of when Brother Wallace tells you to come out of this system and how this system, the microcosm system, can affect your the macrocosm system, what I'm displaying here, is every day affecting your microcosm. And only through emulating this system and understanding the intricacies of this system and how this system is layered, then you will be able to get how the system works and the intricacies and the rules of this system. Because the people who erect this system, they don't deviate from the system. They don't deviate from the rules of the system. They have you believing that they're deviating from the rules of the system because that's the whole group of them controlling this right here, the media. Because everything that you see on this comes back to where's at the bottom. All of these lines lead to where? Media. Media is the system or the utilization of media is used to push out the narrative. So they can push the mind manipulation narrative. Let me go back. They can push what we call the military industrial complex, the elite military system. They can push you, the intelligence agencies can infiltrate groups and then push out information and dogma for different agencies. You have the drug and arms war. So that's how money is laundered. Dirty money is turned to clean money because dirty money from here filtrates into these other groups, and dirty money comes into what? The tax exempt foundations. But I just want to show y'all that all of this system is set up in this manner. The whole world system is set up exactly like what I'm showing you. So each aspect of your life is controlled from the way you think, from the way you see the military, or you see certain aspects of technology with the military, from what you see in front of you, or the social engineering. This is the social engineering. The intelligence agencies are meant for social engineering. This is how they push this is how they engineer socially the masses. And this is the medium that they use to extort the masses with drugs and arms. So you buy drugs from these set people who are given the power and position of being over the drugs and arms trade. What it says, the mafia / organized crime. See, when you are unorganized crime, you are in violation of these people elite network. So when you say someone, for example, Big Meech and BMF, see, he was not considered by these people as being part of the drug and arms trade, the organized crime. Because why? He didn't go through the channels in order to be recognized as a conglomerate of the organized crime system. Now, let's swap over again to religion. All different religions are encapsulated here. Don't think what you just see here, because I actually have another map, which is here. The evolutionary tree of religion. So I don't care where you come from in the world, I can find your religion, or the basis of your religion, where your religion stems from, based upon it being European, African, Middle Eastern, Indian, East Indian, Arctic, North American, Central Mesoamerican, South American, New Guinea, Australian, or Oceanic. I can find the basis of your religion. Now, these at the top are the youngest religions. And as you go further down in the tree, you get down to, as right here, the oldest religion. And then you see the next sequential religions, and then you see the arms of religion go up. So when you see on that last map I just had you, the elite secret network religion, all those religions I you see here are part, they are all organized under this global elite system where they are the movers and shakers of all of these religions. Because why? They have confederate, they are confederate against the masses, which they call the debt slave, the human slave, the dead. Because they say they are in the land of the living. Now I'll get to how they differentiate between those who are in the land of the living and who are lawful and competent and conscious to those who are incompetent and have to be under the care of the warden. Now, the warden is the global elite. They say that the human race is too stupid and too ignorant to be left up to their own devices. So we are the only living conscious ones, and we are the ones that are going to set up this system to keep us who are living and who are conscious over the living dead. This is what the global elite think of you, and this is how they use the system. I want to show you religion. Don't worry, I won't just stay here with religion, but I'm going to show you also how they use science and technology. So I'm going to show you some examples of each. So I want to show you that first example. Now, let me show you an example of how some things we see here also are part of that elite. When I talked about the elite military, bioweapons program, Robert Gallos, many people may not even know who this gentleman is, and Luz Montaner. They had an international patent battle. What were they having an international patent battle over? The patent for HIV, human immune virus. Now, if you look at the very top, you see the Rockefeller medicine. Again, this is the foundation, that tax exempt that I showed you. Rockefeller Foundation funds Rockefeller's medicine. Now, as you see, this Rockefeller medicine goes to who? Henry Kissinger. Some may know who he is, some may not know who he is. But this is very important because Henry Kissinger, was in the position of power and authority because why? He was in bed with the Club of Rome to set up a special virus cancer program, which is the HIV, which was appropriated in 1970 by the U.S. House appropriation request. Who requested appropriation? Meaning they appropriated money for this, funding for this. But I'm just showing you how money in this system is all integrated. How you have the cat plus the bovine leukemia RNA and the Vizina virus comes in with the KSP and the HPV, human papillomavirus, and SV49. They come together to create what is known as HIV. Using slow virus research, lithium bionics, using a drug company, Merck, right here, one of those drug companies. Hepatitis B vaccine trial for gays. So they tried this HIV, what they told was HP hepatitis B vaccine, and look who they tried it on. In 1969, polio vaccine given in Africa. You seen the Order of Malta. That was the Knights of Malta because they're part of an order. They are what? Organized. The Club of Rome. Limits to Growth. Organized. Council on Foreign Relations. Organized. The National Cancer Act. Funded. Yeah. And we see Tricky Dicky Nixon. Defense only. I'm showing you some key factors into how HIV turned to AIDS. Contaminated blood supply. Look at everything I'm showing you that's involved. Free love, anti-war, the hippie movement. Why did the hippie movement happen in the same backdrop of them introducing HIV and AIDS? The drug culture, Fort Detrick, the cancer in Fredericks, Maryland, DD2, The same thing that they've said that they were spraying all over America and on the crops and contaminating. Now I want to say who knows this guy? Anthony Fauci. Does his name sound familiar to anyone?
World Health Organization.
Thank you, sister. And who is he in bed with?
Bill Gates.
And who? Look who he said. Who is this?
Jesuits.
Who are the Jesuits?
Jesuit priest.
They are priests.
Yeah.
I like that, brother. It's called the Poor Society of Jesus. This is what the Jesuit order. Don't worry, I'm gonna show you this evidence. Everything I show, I'm gonna have a infograph to show you. And look, you see, they playing with your lies. .com bubble. Who was alive for the .com bubble? The .com boom and the .com bust of 1999. Everybody that was alive, they know about this. But what? It was already planned. Grassroots network, uprooted and replaced. Notice how everything here is controlled. As she said, the World Health Organization. Do you see everybody that's involved?
Yep.
Everything, all the don't think your nation's not involved. Everyone is on board with this. So you see the Shivite cult in Geneva, Switzerland. That's where CERN is. And you see this is the image of Shiva in front of CERN, which is interesting because it goes into what? I'm showing you, she said Bill Gates, that guy right there. Right. So the sister sees that my diagram is not lying to her. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. I'm not telling you this. I'm showing you what they say. This is the information that is provided. The Global Fund, Slush Fund, philanthropy, profiteering. How are these philanthropies profiteering? Through what? They're tax-exempt foundations. The Rockefeller Foundation, the Lucid Trust Foundation. This is how they're doing it. I'm just showing you, I'm just pulling the wool and the veil from your eyes. What we have, MD, medical and nurse, whistleblowers. They tried to tell, and what happened to them? The Space Force, who thought of the Space Force? Military field hospitals, rescue ops unused, economic implosion, the feds, the treasury, the bailout,
All of them
1.2 stimulus check. See, everything, your life is being played with by these people. When you talk, gold-backed currency. Is the dollar backed by gold?
No.
No, it is not.
No.
It's backed by oil. It's called the petrodollar by the same guy at the top. Richard Tricky Nixon took the US dollar off the gold standard because this was what all currency was backed by gold. And when America ran out of gold, they introduced the oil standard with OPEC, the oil producing countries. I'm just showing you how everyone is involved. Tesla with his 5G, going into all of these things that we see. I'm just showing you that these people have made it their business and this is their agenda. And I'm showing you, look what they say. What happened when the hierarchies become so imbalanced that the entire tower topples over? This is what they're worried about. The matrix is cracking. Look what these people say. I'm just showing you what these people say. You see?
Right.
See that? See, you don't even know none of this. See, they don't tell you none of this stuff that I'm showing you. Ashtar. Who is the god Ashtar? Who does that sound like, Brother Wallace? I know you know who that god is.
Yeah, that's the ancient god in Egypt and in Babylon.
Correct. The Queen of Heaven. They worship the female goddess spirit. Yes, they are implicit in worshiping the female goddess spirit. But I'm showing you all that you believe, the election, you think you're mailing in your ballots, it's a landslide, all of this cheated to win, exposes evil, coronavirus, COVID-19, the Wahoo virus, the China virus, 5G virus, the COVID of 1984, the New World Order virus, the 5G sickness, radiation poisoning. Look, everything is here. Everything I'm showing you is here. This system, this global elite is the late stages of globalism. AIDS 2.0, any cause of death, the flu, microwave illness, civil unrest, and suppression. Is that not happening right now in America?
Yeah.
They're producing civil unrest. And the political right Republicans say it's funded by George Soros and Antifa. See, I'm showing you that this is what the news media job is to put out there for you. Sleepy Joe. Who is Sleepy Joe?
Wow. How did it get so far up to this point where it got Sleepy Joe? Wow.
I'm just showing you that this was already planned and propagated. Your life is their entertainment. T.I. wasn't lying when he said my life is your entertainment. No, he knows that there's higher ups that your life is just their entertainment. And this is how they are entertained with giving you these false narratives.
Yeah.
The Great Reset. How long they been talking about this right here? The Great Reset.
I know.
See, I'm just showing y'all that all that you're doing, these people have already thought about all the things that you're thinking about doing.
Yeah, they already had this planned out.
Correct. And I'm going to show
planned
you how they had it already planned out.
It just happened. They had it all planned.
It didn't just happen.
No, it
End
didn't.
of meat. Look at that. So they let you clone the meat. Look, Tyson, one of the biggest producers of meat in America. Look what I'm showing you how they did this to you.
Lab meat. Yeah.
Lab meat.
Where's the Mexican cartel? Because they just exploded over there in Mexico today. I know it's in this chart.
Well, see, the Mexican cartel, they peons to this they peons to this. But I'm showing you the big players, because these are the big players. See, the cartel is a wing of the arm that's still controlled by the Roman, i.e. Roman government. The Roman Republic controls the drug cartel. Notice it said the mafia first. Let me go back so you can see that. Who controls it? Does it call? It doesn't. It calls them the cartel. Are they called the mafia? No, there's only one group that's called the mafia. All the other mafias are based upon the original mafia. Who is the original mafia? They would tell you La Cosa Nostra. This is our thing in Italian. So they're saying the Sicilians and the Italians are the first true drug arm trade funded by these global elite. The cartel, because they're Catholics, they come in through another avenue. They come in through the Catholic avenue. That's why all cartels pledge what? Roman Catholic. So who actually controls them? Who are these cartels giving their money to every Sunday and when they go to mass?
The Pope.
We seen it on Godfather 1, 2, and 3.
Right.
Come on, they showed it to you in a movie in 1970. What happened? Corleone went to what? The Vatican. He went to the Vatican to see the Pope. They showed you that in the movie.
In the movie, yeah.
But you thinking it's just a movie, but they showing you what they do in real life.
Exactly.
That the mafia must come to Rome and kiss the ring of the Pope. This is why Sleepy Joe had to come kiss the ring of the Pope. This is why the Dalai Lama come kiss the ring of the Pope. This is why Queen Elizabeth, when she was alive, kissed the ring of the Pope. Why is the Pope the man? Well, because he is right here. He is the fourth dimension. Notice they say because he is getting direct information from the consciousness of the warden. He is the prison warden. The Pope is the prison warden of the consciousness of the warden. Well, who is the warden? Well, that is spirits you can't see that he's in connection with. And he gives orders based upon the warden and him being what? The prison warden. He is following orders. And who's under his jurisdiction? The global elites And then what? Everybody else, because you're a human, you're at the very bottom. You're right here. Me and you are right here. So everyone else is still controlled. You can say the U.S. government, you can say NATO, you can say China, you can say they are all controlled by this one entity. So even when I go here, nowhere, I'm not going to stay here too much longer either. But I just want you to see some of these people and participants, the herd mentality. Women's rights is going to depopulation. They're promoting feminism because why? They say they know they're going to depopulate by giving women's rights and family planning. Look, they've already set it up for this to happen. I'm just showing you that they pulling the matrix is coming apart. But they're in a last ditch effort because this is centuries, millennials in the making. Now let me show you a next map. Now I want you to see, and I want y'all to tell me what y'all see. What do you see right here at the very top?
Oh, those are the ancient societies.
Okay. You see, the pharaohs of Egypt were part of a spiritual origin society. The Amarna heresy. We know that's from who? Akhenaten. We see the priesthood of Amun with the Ankh. So if you will never know what this really means, they have, unless you're in what? The priesthood.
The priesthood, yeah.
Because why? There's something called exoteric and esoteric. Exo means out. So they give a outward meaning of what that means. They tell you that's life. That's symbolic of life. The female and the male union through the birth canal. That's what they tell you. But in the priesthood of Amun, which is esoteric, ESC, it means something totally different. They gave you a symbol and what that symbol means. But that is not the true meaning of the symbol. Now, some people, you see what? The Yahweh wars. Did y'all know it was a war over Yahweh? Because we have people talking about in Gnosticism, the Gnostics say that Yahweh was evil and Lucifer was good. So if you're not aware that in the ancient civilization, you had the Yahweh wars. You had Yahweh, El, which is Elohim. So people that talk about the Bible and that there's a Canaanite god named Yahweh, a storm god, that the people who claim that they believe in Jesus or or God, that they actually believe in a Canaanite deity. Well,
that's perpetrated from the Merovingian, and that's your boy
there
from
you go.
the Matrix 2.
Here you go, right there. Well, the Merovingian bloodline. I'm not, y'all telling me this stuff because I don't watch all this occultic stuff. I learned the occult by what? Reading their literature. I learned everything from reading their literature. Notice you see Switzerland, the Skur, their Isis, the mother of darkness. Who does see what the occult say about Isis? They say she's the mother of darkness. 3 cults of Abraham, the cult of Baal. Now remember this right here, the cult of Baal. You see the Baphomet. You see Lilith. You see the crescent moon with the cross. Yeah. Crescent moon with the cross. Think about who's the crescent moon and who has the cross. I'll leave that for you to figure out on your own. The occult. Then you see over here, you see El, and then you see who? Moloch. Now Moloch is who? The bull. Is also associated with this guy called Lucifer, or this entity called Lucifer, who's associated with the Hindu god Shiva, who is seen where? In Geneva, and it's the cult of Shiv. The cult of Shiv with who? The synagogue of Satan. Now let me scroll over because I want y'all to get this. So you see Burns, Geneva, Zurich. You see these centers of these powers. These are the old way, and they are absorbed into these cities in the new way. You see what? The 12 tribes of Israel. You see that? You see the serpent with Lucifer, with the horned viper. You see the planet Saturn, or the name Saturn, with the synagogue of Satan. And
Idolatry. Idolatry up at the top.
Correct. You see the Kabbalah. Don't worry, I got you, brother. I got what this Kabbalah actually is. I'm gonna show you the Kabbalah, but I want to show you this from a perspective. The black cube. Where is this black cube? Where on earth is this black cube?
That's where the
Jerusalem.
Mecca. The Mecca.
Hello,
Right.
in Yathrib, or what they call today Mecca, under Islam. Okay. What Billy Carson says. The Anunnaki, who are what? Kings of where? Babylon. But he'll tell you that the Bible has no validity. But in the occult, what they say, the Anunnakis are the true kings of the Babylon. So when you read the list of Sumerian kings, this is why you have kings that rule for 8,000 years, 10,000 years, 30,000 years in the kings list in Babylon or the Sumerians. Then you have what? What the pastors have taught y'all in the prosperity gospel. What have they taught you?
Night.
Money, magic, manifest. You sow a seed. Money, come to me now. That's what the pastors said. Creflo Dollar, he said, money, come to me. Affirm the money. You have to what? Manifest the money. Where are they getting this doctrine from? They don't tell you where that doctrine came from. But if you know what you know that money magic was started where? In Babylon. Telling you that you can manifest money. Because why? They're using magic. They're using something existential in order to make money happen. This is what the elite in these old religions, because all of these cults are religions and they're doctrines and dogmas. You have to be in it in order to win it. And we see what? Set. We know that is the god from Egypt. And he's associated with what? The Hyksos 15th dynasty. The people who came into Egypt and were Shemitic and changed the culture of Egypt during the intermediate period. But I'm showing you how they won't tell you that the Setians were followers of Saturn, who later becomes the synagogue of Satan. Notice that people that, again, don't believe in the Bible, but where is the synagogue of Satan talked about? Is it talked about in the Quran? Is it talked about in the Riga Vedras? Is it talked about in the Azura Mazda? Is it talked about in the Way? Is it talked about where this nomenclature is found? These people in the occult, they believe your Bible more than you do. They know your Bible better than you do. I'm showing you how they know. Now let's continue. I showed you the top, and we see what? Isis on the left with the crescent moon. And who is her contemporary? Who's her husband? Osiris. Now, if you understand the mythos of Egypt, Osiris slept with his brother Set's wife. That's why Set kills Osiris and chops off his phallus symbol, which is why Isis has to reincarnate Osiris, and the last thing she found was his phallus symbol. But it did not work in the same manner, so she used magic in order to immaculate conception of her son Horus, the Sun, the god of the sun. Now let's continue. I'm glad that y'all tracking with me. Key figures. Now I want y'all to see some of these key figures and see, do you know any of these people? Benjamin Netanyahu, first and foremost. Jacob Rothschild, George Soros, Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates on one side. Look, you see the city of London. See, it's a group of 8. They call themselves the Octagon Group. All right, let me come back up. Let me go back up. All right, because I want y'all to see that this is the system that Brother Wallace is showing you, that this is all. You see Munich, Germany. You see the capital, Washington, D.C. You see Jerusalem. This is the seat, the 8 seats of real, true world power. You see where the seats are. You see Geneva, Burns, Rome, Jerusalem, Washington, D.C., Munich, London, Zurich. Now, let's go over here. If you see the Dutch Empire became the British Empire, which became the crown or the German Windsor. So Prince Harry and Prince William and every quote unquote English monarch that has sat on the throne since the year of William Normandy conquering Britain, they were all Germans. But they Anglicized their names and gave themselves a house. Because in that house they have a trust fund, which is the trust of the crown. And this is where they get the 13 royal families or the blue bloods. Now you have a papal royal bloodline as well, which are of the Italian nobility that the Pope's bloodline must come from. And he must come out of those 13 papal royal bloodlines. But these 13 families are existential of the papal bloodline. They could never be at the top because at the very top of the prison warden elite system, he must come from the royal Pope bloodline, from one of the 13 royal Pope bloodlines that date their bloodline back to Julius Caesar, or what we would know as Gaius Julius Caesar, or Caesar's Octavian, which is his adopted son. So through their lineage, all of those families state that their claim to rule the world. They have the ability to rule the world. This is why the Pope is called the Holy See, the Fisher of Men, the God on earth. This is why, and all of these other nations come up under it. As you see, Set, Horus, Isis. See this, and what sign is this? Whose sign is this? Do anybody know who IHS? What sign is this? With the sun in the background, with the cross, with the IHS, with the Isis, Horus, Set. Do anyone know what this symbol? Who produces this symbol?
That's a good question.
This is the symbol of the Jesuit order right here. The Society of Jesus. This is their symbol. But if they're supposed to be Jesus Christ or the Society of Jesus, what does Jesus have to do with Isis, Horus, from which their symbol is, with the sun behind it? Think about it. And they have what? A black pope. So you have the white pope, and then you have the black pope. Did any of you know that there's a white pope and a black pope? Not talking about physiology, not about their skin tone, but actually their position. One is in the light, meaning he is seen, and one who is in the dark. This is the black pope. How many of y'all know today who is the black pope right now in the world? Does anyone know who the black pope is today in this world right now? Many of y'all know Leo, who is the white pope, but any of y'all know who is the black pope right today, right now?
No,
I don't know his name, but I know what he looks like.
But does he doesn't call the shots a gray pope too, right?
Correct. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now the great pope is he who is hidden, or what they call Ra. He is the Ra. He is he who is hidden. You never see the gray because why? You have black and white to see. You can see the duality of light and dark, but you can't see the gray. Right. Now, I'm glad that the brother mentioned that because he has divulged into some romantic cult knowledge. But I won't talk about the great pope here because that is a whole hour discussion in itself. But we see how these corporations, the Dutch East Indian Corporation of 1602, is in bed with the foundation called the Jesuit Order, who is ran by the Black Pope, who has a philosophy of Isis, Horus, and Set. Now, this goes down into the CIA, who is also in bed with this Jesuit order. Notice, so your CIA is in bed with the Jesuit order. What does the Society of Jesus got to do with the Central Intelligence Agency? I'll leave that for you to think about.
And it's interesting. It just established in 1947.
Correct. So
it's not even that long ago.
Correct. So this tells that everything is established or predicated upon something else. Again, we see the Ivy League, Harvard, and what we see, CERN, the EBU, the WTO, the World Economic Forum. So your money is not going to do you any value. Eventually, this trust that you have, it will no longer have value because they're actually going to go to something where it has to be a trust furnished and given by these elite, where you're going to have to take a mark or a symbol that you're like cattle. You will be branded by these people. So even eventually your trust that you have today, that revocable trust that you have today, will be forced to turn over to they will have only a uniform trust. And then this trust, you have to be integrated into this system. So let's continue. I have stock in Vanguard. You see Vanguard? They're right there. They're one of the big heavy hitters right there. U.S. societies and clubs. So that's any club that you can name, any society that you have that come out of it. The Skull and Bones, the Divine Nine, the Boule, the Thule. All of these are part of this U.S. system. Geneva is the headquarters. We see the Fortune 500, all participants in the Great Recess by the High Council. Again, this is how you see Saud, the House of Saud, where Saudi Arabia. What it says, the Saudi, go ahead. I heard somebody speaking. Go ahead.
No, I mean, I just want to say something as you're showing this. So these societies and all these things are in place as like a non-tax exempt, as you were going into earlier. These are all like tax exempt.
All these entities I'm showing you are tax exempt. The Nazis are tax exempt. The National Socialists, the SS, are all funded by tax exemption, and they're part of the paramilitary, who is just like Antifa. So this is why they have Antifa as juxtaposing against socialism or fascism. See, so Antifa represents socialism versus fascism. So but they control both ends of this garment. So don't think because I'm on Antifa and I'm against the fascists. This is the conversation they're having in America right today. The left, the libertarians, the left wing, the extreme left is known as the Antifa. The extreme right is known as fascism. I'm showing you that they play on both sides. In America, you're either on one or the other side. They don't care which side you're on because all these sides promote what? Zionism or the state of Israel, what they call the state of Israel, which is really the Zionist state of Israel. Don't worry, I'm going to show you that the Mason, who is part of this up here at the very top, he admits it in his own letter. Now, you don't have to believe it or not. It's up to you to believe it. But if you're a student of history, you'll see that everything that I'm saying is substantiated. When he mentioned the cartel, look, they're not mentioning no cartels here. Because why? The cartel takes orders from the mafia. Notice, you see this? It's the Indian mafia, from which we see that the Germans borrowed their sign from India. This is going back to their native roots being Proto-Indo-European. This is the Sanskrit. This is the original Sanskrit in the Proto-Indo-European language. This came before this. So this is the archetype and this is the prototype. So when Hitler said he wanted to go back to the Aryan nation, this is what he's talking about. These are the true Aryans. And notice, as I mentioned, Saudi Arabia, the House of Saud, the petrodollar. This is how the Saudi Arabia petrodollar came into power, because they were what? Saudi royalty, Jewish ancestry. But now you would automatically assume that these people are Muslims, that they're from the tribe of Ishmael. If you believe in the Bible, they say, well, I would think that since they're from Arabia, wouldn't they be part of the tribe of Ishmael ruling Arabia? But I'm just showing you that these are the evidences, the narcotic trafficking, CIA. See, they tell you who's doing the drug trafficking, and we know that to be true. We know that through the Iran-Contra incident in 1980 with warlord Oliver North, where the military was bringing in drugs, and he went before Congress and testified, and he was a military officer, Oliver North. And so we see that the government has been trafficking. Even when you look at the story of American Gangster with Frank Lucas, he was using the U.S. planes, like the U.S. didn't know that he was using their planes to filter drugs into these Americas. I'm just showing you that even everything you see on TV can be substantiated. And when you see these numbers have symbols: 666, 322, 8867, BlackRock, Media Empire, World Health Organization, going back to the Knights of the Malta, the Knights of the the Knights of the 5 points, which goes what? This is when you have a computer, you have a clicking instrument. Notice this is the front of the clicking instrument. What? Both of the all sides point where? To the inner workings. Let me show you some more. You see there at the top, the Roman Empire, the rebranded temple with Sybil and Janus, the two-faced god. So when you had January 1st, this is why your corporation gives you your PTO or your benefits start January 1st. This is why, because they're under the Roman Empire and the Holy Roman Empire. And I told you about the papal bloodline. There's a bloodline that all the popes are connected to, and they are part of the Roman Empire, the Holy Empire. We go back to the black nobility. I'm just showing you all of this. Pontifex Swiss Guard, going into the Rothschilds and Company, the Khazarian Mafia. This is what they call, i.e., the Jewish Mafia. When you go into what, Brother Wallace, all central banks is controlled through what? The Swiss bank. This is the Zion of the Alps. Through the UBS, the Credit Suisse, the Reichshoffen, which is the Swiss mercenaries, prescription drug trade coming out of Switzerland. So who funds the medical drug companies? It's the bank. The bank funds these drug prescriptions. When they talk about making prescription drug healthcare cheaper, understand that is entailed with the banks. Breeding ground for dictators, police department, and you see the 4 pillars: banking, governance, spirituality, military power. What I showed you where. So they told you how they control. These are their 4 pillars. So they say all the world is going to be under our control based upon these 4 things. So you don't have to believe in spirituality, but I bet you believe in money and economics. I don't believe in government, but you believe in money. Okay, I don't believe in money, but you believe in God. Or I don't believe, I'm a pacifist. I don't believe in violence, but you believe in good government to protect you from violence. See, they have everything organized. And look, they say there are pillars. And what do pillars do? Hold up what? What are pillars made for?
Holding up society.
Structure.
So what is the structure that their 4 pillars is holding up?
Society.
There you go, which is, again, what I showed you right here. This is their society, the elite network society, which is what? They want to control your conscious mind, your conscious and unconscious, and that's why they are wardens over you, meaning you are warden to the state. What is their state? Their state of what? Consciousness. So this is how they control you. So I've showed you thus far. I'm going to show you this. The Order of Cha, the Knights Templar, the Black Cube, the World Kingdom, domain of Satan. Notice it says the Black Cube is where the domain of Satan is. Now, we also see where, and if you believe in the Bible, in the book of Revelations, Yeshua said that there's a seat of Satan. That Satan actually has a seat that he officiates. But notice this talks about a domain. If you have a domain, then you have what? A kingdom. If you have a kingdom, then you have what? Power and jurisdiction. I'm showing you how these people believe in what they believe in, irregardless of whether or not you believe in a system, because they believe in the New World Order. You don't have to believe in the New World Order, because why? Everything that they're saying is predicated upon it. And they have made you believe in their system. See, they show you, look how it forms. It forms a pyramid. But all you see is this symbol, the Knights Templar symbol. But you don't know that this Knights Templar symbol is symbolic of this, of NATO, of the Zionists, of the SS, the Nazi. All of these signs are based in this understanding of the cube, and that these people are at the top of the cube, and who supports the cube? Everyone else who is humanity, who's at the bottom or the base of the cube. Now let's continue. Let me show you some more. I don't want to hold y'all too long, but I'm gonna show y'all. We're gonna get away from the antiquity. We're gonna go to more contemporary things that everyday people can readily identify. We see John D. Rockefeller monopolizes oil, which is Rockefeller Foundation, that tax-exempt foundation. What they say, ritualistic magic. So when we talk about the Epstein files and everything they were doing, it's part of their ritual. War equals debt. This is why Donald Trump is trying to get America into war, because war equals debt. Banking cartels. See, they don't call the Mexican cartel a cartel, because what the global elite system says a cartel is, it is the banking itself. The system of banking is a cartel. So when you think of the Juarez cartel in Mexico, who's selling drugs and dealing in the drug trade, think of that same, what they do to people who take their money or take their drugs. What is the consequences? Well, have that same mentality with the bank, because the bank, they tell you that all banking is a cartel, and they would fund both sides of the conflict. They're loaning out interest to both sides. They don't care who wins, because we still win at the end of the day. This is the system. So they said the living and the dead. The living keep on living while the dead is dead. And when they give you dead money, you what? Stay dead. You can't come to the land of living. This is why they don't want you to get into the knowledge of the trust. Because the trust takes you from being dead and a debt slave and bring you, and you reincarnated into the life, into the land of the living. This is the land of the living that they still allow us who are in the know to participate in, but they're going to shut off even this participation. But let's continue. I don't want to hold you. We see the FBI, the Federal Reserve, the Balfour Declaration, mandatory Palestine based upon the Balfour Declaration. If you don't know what it is, you should look it up. But I'm going to also show you, because why? It's very important. Albert Pike. This is very important. This Albert Pike gentleman. He's very important to this right here. The elite network system. And also to this right here. And also to everything we see here with the COVID. To everything we see here with these organizations. All of these organizations, this one man is going to sum up and talk about these organizations. Now, I want you to continue riding with me, because we're going to get past what we call ancient history, because we're in 2026. So let me get down to the age that everyone understands. Let's go down to this age, the yellow age. And see, they already have it organized for you. This is the age of what? Trump era. Now, let's look at some things and see who we see. What are we seeing? Blackmail, pedophilia, human trafficking. Isn't that what we just seen with the Epstein files?
Yep.
Slave rings bus, Women's March, Drain the Swamp, election rigging, Melania, Trump draft, TPP, draft 2015, TPP withdrawal, Fake news. Our job is to control exactly what people think. 90% bias. Twitter, YouTube apocalypse, the Russian probe, pedestrian emails, the body doubles. Enough is enough. Spirit cooking. They're cooking spirits. They're laying the groundwork. Jeff Bezos, Amazon, the Washington Post, Google, Alphabet, Facebook, Zuckerberg, who's in bed, all of them are in bed with who? The Church of AI. Google is in bed with the Church of AI. How many of y'all know that you are participating in the Church of AI when you log on to Google or you log on to Facebook or you log on to Amazon? Do you know that? Do you know you're part of the Church of AI?
No.
And these are what? Techno-Luciferian. So you are losing Luciferian technology. So if you're a Christian, you are using, they're telling you what they are, technology from who? Lucifer, the illuminating one. Him who gives us the light. Who gives who the light? The techno people. Who are these techno people? I'm showing you who they are. Why you think many of these CEOs resigned after COVID? Seal indictments. This is what that Epstein. See, I'm showing you that all of this is already thought about.
Yeah.
All of this is thought about. When they told you about the planet Nibiru coming close to the Earth, saying that this planet that came out of another solar system that crept into our solar system. They tell you about the Mayan calendar, 2012. They tried to tell you about the Mayan calendar, Antichrist. The pole shift. Didn't they just tell you about the poles just certainly shifted all of a sudden a year ago? And that we were experiencing polar shift. We went from 4G to 5G. They call it the kill grid. Quantum ascension. The age of what? They told all you people who believe in astrology, they said, oh, this is the age of Aquarius, the age of knowledge being poured out. Yes. Who gave you the coin, the red pill? Take the red pill. Or if you go to YouTube, a man that's been red pilled. Or quote unquote, the Great Awakening, the wokeism. See, they all of this, I'm showing you how they know everything. Crypto, quantum computing. So you have Nivea. They're participating in quantum computing. Shadowgate, the CIA electronic surveillance through Vault 7. This is what that guy, Eric Snowden, was talking about, that the CIA has electronic surveillance on everything you say and do. I'll probably be indicted for some of the things I say in this call later on in history, when they actually start indicting us on saying or speaking truth to power. And what they tell you, follow, you went down the rabbit hole. That's what why are you using this terminology? Because they told their people to what? Tell the people to what? Follow the white rabbit. The white rabbit is the what? The hole, the rabbit hole, the hole that leads to where? The sunken place. They showed you on Get Out. You can't escape the sunken place because these people have placed your consciousness in the sunken place through executive order, national emergency human rights abuse. ISIS is defunded. That's why you don't hear them talking about ISIS no more. They have already defunded ISIS. What? Space Force. Clinton donor, major U.S. investor. Al-Hawadi bin Talali, who is part of the Saudi purge. When the Saudis start killing, this is what that guy Khashoggi got killed by. That journalist Khashoggi, when he was investigating the Saudis, and they killed them over there in the land. Tactical nukes on Yemen. Trump's South Africa visit. The mystery machine. The Delta forces. Did he just use these people to go in and take Maduro?
Yeah.
Y'all remember QAnon, where all those people talking about the QAnon and releasing the QAnon? And I'm sure you trust the plan. They told them trust the plan. Dealing with who? The Palladian guidance. This is the people they talk about. The Anunnaki, where they call them Palladian, because they come from the star cluster of Palladium. See, Soros with Rothschilds, with the Saudis. Harry Weinstein in the Me Too movement. Got all the women tricking on Harry Weinstein.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not what? He was just the catalyst used for the Me Too movement to, and then what? They moved it from Weinstein and put it immediately on Bill Cosby,
Yep.
R. Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
In the same way they look, they exposed Epstein and what? They turned it on Puff Daddy
Yep.
to take you away from the real movers and shakers. Notice I'm not gonna be, but if you know, look at Epstein. Look at their last name, Epstein and Weinstein. I'm gonna leave it at that. You do your homework, you do your research. They tell you this is gonna be a cyber warfare. Look, they told you about the hurricanes they created.
Voice went out.
That's right. They show you everything. They tell you everything you want to know. North Korea, the rogue state. This is why they want to get rid of Kim Jong-il, because he's not playing ball with these individuals. Mohammed bin Salman, the new king of Saudi Arabia. He right there. Abraham Accords. Who bought the Abraham Accords together? I'm just showing you that everything you think and see, these people have already thought and planned it out. Everything you see is all Black Lives Matter.
Mm-hmm.
Gaddafi, the movie Fast and Furious. See? See? Eric Snowden. This company I've been looking to get stock in, Palantir, through their project Gotham. Right now, they're about $160 a share. Came from $3 to $165 a share. They have contracts with the U.S. government through the Project Gotham. But look what they're going to be doing. They're spying for the same people Eric Snowden was talking about, the NSA spy grid. Blackwater. People don't remember Blackwater, but if you've been in the military, you're aware of the company called Blackwater. And what did they do? Sandy Hook, the Boston Marathon. You remember they blew up people at the Boston Marathon. Hurricane Katrina. See? See? These people are using spirits in order to control the weather through kinetic bombardment. They're using kinetic energy to cause some of these energy through direct energy weapons, which they call WEDEW. So they tell you how, if you're in the know, but this is why you have to join these fraternal orders so that you are aware of what's going on. Why did 9/11 happen? Tower sacrifice. They sacrificed the towers to bring you into the war so that we can go attack the Taliban in Afghanistan and steal their opium. From which what? They flooded America through the pharmaceutical companies of giving people opioids. Because they knew that opioids were going to get you hooked. And the Taliban didn't want to play ball. So this is why they had to propagate the war, the offering of the Twin Towers, the hologram plane theory that they use through the Al-Qaeda, the Operation Cyclone, through the CIA asset, Osama bin Laden, the man that America claimed they killed, but he worked for the CIA. I'm just showing you that you've been bamboozled. The Homeland Security, the Pentagon Budget Office. How much money is missing? Notice this is during 9/11. Look how much money became missing. 2.3 million. Trillion. Yes, ma'am. That's right. Trillion with a T. I'm sorry. I meant to say trillion. Trillion with a T. Who also benefited? This company called Halliburton. No big contracts. Because Dick Cheney had his hand in Halliburton. He was what? The vice president with George Bush during the towers, which they sacrificed, which was a what? Mega ritual for what? The Ziggurat of Stargate. And this is why they tell you now they want to expose y'all to this extraterrestrials
Yeah,
through
I've
the
heard it.
Wi-Fi and the ley lines. For those who have knowledge of the ley lines, they are using the ley lines. And this is how they are in touch with these extraterrestrials. Now, you may call them Anunnaki, you may call them the reptilians, the Dracos, the Greys, the extraterrestrials. It doesn't matter what nomenclature you're using, because these spirits, they what? Those who from heaven to earth came. Look at the blood type, Rh negative. So if your blood is A negative, B negative, AB negative, O negative, you fall under this blood type. They said, this is the occult telling you that they know that the rhesus negative, you have what? Extraterrestrial blood.
Wow.
So if you look, and then if you, because I was a medical student. What is the biggest group in the world that has this blood type? I'll give you a hint. It's in Europe. 60% of everyone in this culture are Rh negative. Can anyone tell me? Can anybody give me a guess?
White folks.
Particularly, a particular group. There's a particular group. Caucasians do have Rh negative. They are predominantly the most with Rh negative. But I'm gonna give you a secret. Have you heard of, on the border of France and Spain, a place called Basque?
No,
Basque.
you learning me today.
The Basque people, they are on the border of Spain and France. They are the largest group with the most Rh negative. 60% of all of the Basque people have this genome. Notice it's on the border of France and Spain. Again, we would come down to who? The black goo. The black goo and Arcturus. This is, again, the celestial star Arcturus. This is the bear. If you read the book of Job, Job talks about Arcturus, the bear, which is talking about the constellations in the sky. How many of you heard Andromedons? Do you know who Andromeda is, from where the people who follow her are called Andromedons? Do you know who Andromeda was? See, because this is important. I'm gonna
The
explain
Greek
why this
gods,
is.
right?
No,
No?
no. She was called by the Greeks a goddess. She was called Andromeda to be a goddess. But who the actual person was that the Greeks deified into Andromeda being in the sky? Are you privy? Are you aware? Let me shed some light on you. Do you know that Andromeda and Zeus are son and daughter?
Hmm.
Are you aware that Zeus' name is actually Ethiopius, and that his daughter's name is Andromeda?
Hmm.
And so this became the king of the gods to the Greeks. This is why the Greeks knew that there was a black god named Zeus, who is called Ethiopius. So when they saw the people called what? From the land of Tasseti, they called them what? The Ethiopians, the burnt face ones. I'm just giving you how the mythology is backed by some of the literature that we see in the world. If you read the Enumeralis from the Anunnaki, and it talks about the Palladian and the Ashtar Command, the Galactica Federation of Light. Sure, y'all who watch sci-fi, Stargate SG-1, Star Trek, the Jetsons, they've already indoctrinated you into this. We've seen many times Caucasians talk about they being abducted by aliens and being experimented by aliens. All of this is true because why? They bloodline, they share the bloodline to be abducted. That's where you see the crop circles. And what we see the Black Knight satellite. Think of who is the Black Knight. Batman. And where he is at? In the city of what? Gotham.
Gotham.
Palantir makes a system of surveillance called Gotham. And it's using what? The Black Knight satellites. I'm exposing to y'all the secrets. I'm showing you everything. If I'm glad I'm only showing it to y'all because they may kill me for this. But I'm just showing you how your nanotechnology is already getting you ready for transhumanism, the age of spiritual machines.
Wow.
They're getting you ready for you to be your singularity to be transhuman, where you won't need a debit card. You won't need a bank account because why? You're going to be integrated. This is what Elon Musk and Neuralink has already done. He's already done this. Spiritual machines, putting spirits into machines. This is what the AI autonomous bot is. They don't want to tell you this, but look, he's right there. He's right there. And what? The whole purpose of transhumanism is their life extension. And I'm sure many of y'all have heard Billy Carson and the occult people who speak from Gaia Network. They talk about these Akashic records that they can download in when they're in their metaphysical state, and that they can astral project to get these Akashic records, which are supposed to be information of the universe, and that only certain people can tap into it in order to reach it. I'm just showing you all of this is controlled. Everything you see is controlled. Now I'm going to show you who gave us the information that it would be controlled. Now, let's look at the Third World War that this person who they said is a fake. But I want you to read the information. Read the information and see, does it align? Well, matter of fact, we'll start back with the Second World War because some of us are familiar with World War II. Now, this was written before all of this because I'm going to show you the August 15th, 1871. So keep that in your mind, 1871. There was no First World War in 1871. But he wrote about it. What about the Second War? He wrote about it. But I want to start with the Second War because the Second War, everything I showed you from the secret covenant evolution, it all comes down to these two things. In history, we can point where the Second World War was. And let's see, does it match what he said? The Second World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the difference between the fascists and the political Zionists. This war must be brought about so that Nazism is destroyed and the political Zionism be strong enough to institute a sovereign state of Israel and Palestine. During the Second World War, international communism must become strong enough in order to balance Christendom, which would be then restrained and held in check until the time when we would need it for the final social cataclysm. Now we know what a social cataclysm would look like, but look what he says. Christendom will be utilized. These people are going to utilize Christendom. So everyone who's in Christendom, notice that these people have already got a plan for your religion, that your religion is being squandered and used for this purpose, which is the Third World War, which we haven't got to yet, but I want you to see how it's playing out in real time. So you can say this is a conspiracy theory, but when you put the evidence, see, is it still a conspiracy? The Third World War must be formed by taking advantage of difference caused by the agent of the Illuminati. I'm going to let you think about who's the agent of the Illuminati. Between the political Zionists and the leaders of the Islamic world. Who is doing this? Think about who that agent, and they telling you who he working for. The war must be conducted in such a way that Islam, i.e. the Muslim Arabic world, and political Zionism, the state of Israel, mutually destroy each other. Notice what the purpose is. Notice who is involved. You see, Christianity, communism, Zionism is all there. Now, what happens? Because of this, by this agent of the Illuminati who's going to cause a rift between Zionism and the Islamic world and causing them to fight each other. And what happens? Meanwhile, the other nations, much more divided on this issue. So Israel versus Palestine, which everybody took a side, will be constrained to fight to the point of complete physical, moral, spiritual, and economical exhaustion. So what are these people set to do with this third world war? It's to bring in their new world order. So this is to what? And how they're going to use it? They're going to use physical, morality or morals, spirituality, and the coup d'etat. They're going to use economics to drive this. And this is how they're using America to go into 70 trillion in debt. Because why? This is economic exhaustion. Some countries are going through spiritual, some going through moral, some going through physical, and some are going through all of these or a mix of these. Think about who we shall unleash the nihilists and the atheists, and we shall provoke a formidable social cataclysm. Notice who they gonna use. They're gonna unleash who? Nihilists. If you don't know what it is, you should look up the definition of a nihilist, because these are the people who go be in positions of power and authority. And who? The atheists. They don't believe in God. So that tell you that their morality, their physical, their moral, their spiritual, and economic perspective of the nihilists and the atheists. You need to understand this. And we shall provoke a formidable social cataclysm, which in all its horror will show clearly to the nation. So this is going to affect every nation. The effects of absolute, not relative atheism, but the pure essence from where relative atheism comes from. Origins of savagery. So absolute atheism, origin is what? Savagery, and of what? The most bloody turmoil. So once they get the war started, they already set the risks of which side you on, Palestine or you're on Israel's side. So every gang got their side. So we have the Crips and the Bloods are fighting each other. This is how I'm gonna use the Bloods of being Islam red and the Zionists being blue. So you have the red team and the blue team. Or in boxing, you have the red corner and the blue corner. I'm just showing you how they use red and blue for different constructs. The Democrat, Republican, the red corner, the blue corner. Who's running the show? Who's officiating the show? Who tells you to go into the blue corner or the red corner? Then everywhere, the citizens, these are the humans, these are the people that they said at the bottom, obliged to defend themselves against the world's minority of revolutionaries, will exterminate those destroyers of civilization. Now, who are the ones that are trying to destroy the civilization? Many of those people we saw in the Epstein files, in the Committee of 300, for example. And the multitude, that's the average working person, the average person in the world, the human race at the bottom of the chart, the debt slaves, are what? Disillusioned with Christianity. This is why you see a drop in Christianity. This is why many people are no longer adhering to Christian beliefs. Look what they have done to format this. Who deists? This is why they can say that the founding fathers were Christians, because why? Among the occult, they say Christianity has deistic spirits. Will from that moment be without compass or direction. So this is why there will be a fall, a drastic fall. If you believe the Bible, it says there'll be a great falling away. These people in the occult agree. They say, actually, we going to be the hand that does it. We are going to be the hand that bring them down. Anxious, because now when you drop out of Christianity, what the nine out of 10 people go into when they leave out of Christianity? They go into a spiritualism. Because why? They are without compass, they are without direction, and they're anxious for an idea, something to believe in, but without knowing where to render its adoration, where to put your hard-earned energy. When you come out of Christianity, what do I do next? And they say, we already got a solution for your problem. We'll receive the true light through the universal. Notice it says the universal. Notice the next word, manifestation. So they're going to manifest universally what? The pure doctrine of Lucifer, brought finally out in the public view. So this is how they're going to get you to go into spiritualism, because they know that the deistic spirits are controlled by the God of this world, Lucifer. They said they know it and they agree. And they told you in this writing that they know who is the true doctrine, that the doctrine you've heard about Lucifer is not Lucifer. So this is how they're going to convince you that you believe in the spirits. You can call on your ancestor spirits, but they know these ancestor spirits that you call on are not your ancestors. They know that they're deistic spirits controlled by this entity called the light bearer. Now, in Christianity, they call him Satan. But to them, in this know of the occult and the Gnostics, they say that this is Prometheus. For you who are in mythology, Prometheus brought what? Fire or light to the humans. See, that's a mythos or allegory talking about this Lucifer individual who brought light to humanity. Well, if you read the Christian Bible, Satan did not bring illumination to humans. There was another entity that brought humanity illumination. Do your homework. Isaiah chapter 14. It's not talking about Satan. This manifestation will result from the general reactionary movement, which will follow the destruction of Christianity. So there will be no more Christianity after World War III. Look what they tell you. And atheism. So believing in God or the Christian God and believing in no God will be destroyed by means of the Third World War. Both conquered and exterminated at the same time. See what their magnus opus, their great work is? And look, they've been practicing this far beyond what I just showed you on the screen. And I'm going to show you this last part and I'm going to turn y'all loose. Y'all may have known this conspirators hierarchy, the story of the Committee of 300. Remember I showed you the image of the Council of 300, this Committee of 300? Well, I'm showing you some documentation that Brother Malek does not just talk about things, because I'm from the age where young people tell me I need some receipts. Let me see some receipts. So here is some receipts. So we talk about, and all this is talking about getting out of the world system. Everything I'm showing you is the world system held by these elite, held by these true 1%ers. And this is what they believe. This is their world. This is their entertainment. And you living in their game. So let me slide it over some. Let me see. Let me close this out so we can get a good look. All right. So the person that's writing about this Committee of 300, I just want to show you his credentials. In my career as a professional intelligence officer, remember, he's an intelligence officer in America, so he would work for CIA. I had many occasions to access highly classified documents, but during service as a political science officer, I know Brother Ra, he knows about political science. In the field in Angola, West Africa, I had the opportunity to view a series of top secret classifiable documents which were unusually explicit. Now I'm going to stroll down. I was thoroughly familiar with all the well-known secret societies such as the Royal Institute for International Affairs, the Council on Foreign Relations, the Bilderberg Trilateral Communion, the Zionists, Freemasons, the Bolsheviks, which are the communists, and the Recruiters. These are the Red Cross. So when you give money to the Salvation Army and to the Red Cross, this is who you're giving your money to, these secret societies. And all of the spinoffs, see, those are what he mean, tax-exempt foundations. When he talk about the spinoffs, these are all the tax-exempt foundations of these secret societies. As an intelligence officer, and even before that, as a young student in the course of my studies at the British Museum in London, very important, because that's where Oxford and many of these documents of religion is based in. I had cut my eye teeth on all of them, plus a good number of others with whom I imagine Americans were familiar. But I came to the United States in 1969. I found the names like the Order of St. John of Jerusalem, the Club of Rome, the German Marshall Fund. No, look, see fund, the Cini Foundation, the Round Table, the Fabinists, the Venetian Black Nobility, the Montpellier Society, the Hellfire Club, and many others were at best totally unknown here, or else their true functions were at best but poorly understood, if at all. Now, many of us may or may not have heard of these foundations, but many of those I showed you are on these charts, these infographics, as well, showing these other entities. So this is showing you, and he wrote it and published it in 1991. I finally ripped off the mask of the entire secret upper level parallel government that runs Britain and the US. This book is a part of that ongoing effort. So I'm showing you the case where he presents his case as a eyewitness of all the things he saw and all the intricate detail that is involved. As I showed you the truth, but now I'm showing you the evidence. President Bush ordered a brutal slaying of 150,000 Iraqi troops in a convoy of military vehicles carrying white flags. See, that's a Geneva Convention violation. On their way back to Iraq under Geneva Convention rules of agreed disengagement and withdrawal. Imagine the horrors of the Iraqi troops when, in spite of waving their white flag, they were mowed down by American aircraft. In another part of the front, 12,000 Iraqi soldiers were buried alive in trenches they occupied. Is that not monstrous in the truest sense of the word? From where did President Bush get his orders to act in this monstrous fashion? He got it from the Royal Institute for International Affairs, who receives its mandate from the Committee of 300, also known as the Olympians. I'm just showing you the evidence. And I'm going to close y'all out over here because I held you a little longer than I anticipated. But as we see, even the Olympians do not hide their faces. Oftentimes they put on a show which could be likened to the Paris Air Show, even as conspiracy buffs spend their time in fruitless searchings in the wrong places and in the wrong directions. This is why they tell you about the rabbit hole. So they give you information deliberately for you to go down the rabbit hole that they know leads nowhere, leads to no place, and has what? No direction. I'm showing you why. Don't be going down the rabbit hole. Note how the Queen Elizabeth II, my cousin who died, performed the ceremonial opening of the British Parliament. There in full view is the head of the Committee of 300. Have you ever witnessed the swearing in ceremony of a United States president? There in full view is another member of the Committee of 300. The problem is only one of perception. So when we see the president, he is part of the Committee of 300. He goes and get the pecking order from, as I showed you, from the original pecking order seen in this map. Let me go back to the map and close this out. Close this. To this pecking order. And this is the one I left from y'all from last time I visited you. This is that pecking order. This is the pecking order from the fall of Atlantis. These are the people called themselves the Brotherhood of the Snake or the Serpent. If you believe in the Bible, they say this is the serpent seed that is against the seed of the woman or the seed of Eve. So these people, the Brotherhood of the Serpent or the Snake, or what we call them today, the reptilians, some call them the shapeshifters, they are part of this uniform Kabbalah. As the brother mentioned, he said, I saw a Kabbalah. Well, I'm showing you the true Kabbalah, which is called the Kilpah. This is the Kilpah or Kabbalah of the world. And these are the intricate points in history that come from the very beginning when they tell you about the Anunnaki, which I showed you on these other maps, the Anunnaki right there. You see Moloch, the biblical Baal. You see Baal. You see the people they call the Sumerians, who they gave a misnomer to, but they know as the early Canaanites. And they call the people who they call the Phoenicians, they know them as the late Canaanites. But they tell you that the Sumerians and the Phoenicians are two different people. But that's what they tell you. But they know that what? They're one and the same. The star of this starts with what? Tanai, the Canaanites, because that's where the fallen angels, the Anunnaki, mix with them after the deluge, or what they call the Great Flood. I'm just showing you that they agree that there was a great flood. The occult knows there was a great flood. And they say after the great flood, the fallen angels came into the children of Canaan and mixed with them, and any other race mixing with the Canaanites have what they call today is Neanderthal blood. Now, you know that genetics says no Africans have Neanderthal blood. I'm just showing you what, when they talk about the Neanderthal and the DNA of the Neanderthal, that this is where the Neanderthal, this is the Neanderthal, the black white Canaanite being turned white, being from black to albinized, or what we later call the white race, because white race is a new social construct. But when you talk about the albinized people, you would see Africans today who are still albinized. They carry the albinized genetic predisposition of the recessive trait of the fallen angels. I'm just showing you the evidence. And it came where? On both sides. So when you went to Egypt with Osiris, you see the pharaohs of Egypt. You saw in every picture, it talked about the pharaohs. Why do the Greeks and Romans look to the Egyptians? I'm showing you why they look to the pharaohs. Why the Egyptology so big? Going back to this. And then on the other side, you have what? The other side of the same stick, where they talk about the Anunnaki, the Epic of Gilgamesh, the Kingdom of Babylon, the cities of Uruk, Nepal, the Mesopotamian, the land of Shinar, the land of Samaria, all these misnomers that they give. And they tell you what? Biblical history, Book of Enoch, the Genesis, the Hebrew Hyksos, the tribe of Dan, pagan time of the Antichrist, sin of the golden calf, showing you how, when I mentioned about the Yahweh wars, let me go down here. The Yahweh wars, because Baal is called El and Yahweh. This is what they call Enki and Anil, the Anunnaki, because there was a Yahweh among the Phoenicians, and I just showed you who the Phoenicians are. That they have a God called Yahweh. They have a God called Yahweh as well. But I don't want to hold y'all too much longer, but I want y'all to see that there's the Jesuits, There's the Khazarian Mafia. There's the Knights Templar. This is the Kabbalah. This is the Swiss bank. This is banking. This is education and religion. This is governance. This is the governance of the Illuminati, the United States, the Masons, held by the religion of the Vatican and the synagogue of Satan. Notice the synagogue of Satan. I'm showing you who the synagogue of Satan was from the earlier map. And you see, it says what? The cobblestone, the black cube, the cobblestone, Islam, tied in. Doing with the synagogue of Satan, who are the Pharisees. This is why Yeshua called them the synagogue of Satan, these Pharisees. I know them who say they are Jews and are not. Judaic conversion. I didn't say it. Yeshua said it. These occultists agree with Yeshua. They say that we're converts. We are not the children, the original Yahudim or the original Judeans. They say this. You have to just know where to look in order to find it. And these people who are called themselves Jews, they are called the Rahanites. The Rahanites. These are the ancient merchants of the Silk Road trade. So if you understand about the time of the Silk Road, gives you a perspective of how they ascertain all this money and power to become court Jews who would help start the Swiss bank with the help of the Vatican and the Knights Templar. This is why the Vatican and the kings destroyed the Knights Templar, the poor Knights of Christ. They were called the Knights of Christ. This is what the Red Cross, the Recrucian Cross, Royal Cross. This is the organization under the god, the Baphomet, the transgender god, because Lucifer is a transgender god, where Satan is a masculine god. So we see masculinity on the right side and femininity or trans feminism over here on the left side. So who is the god of the world that is going to be? Lucifer. They didn't say Satan. Of Lucifer will be bought out in the public. Who is Lucifer? I'm gonna let y'all do y'all homework, because the occult says that Lucifer and Satan are two opposite perspectives. And so we get down to this last section. Luciferianism, doctrine of 32nd degree Masonry. These are the illuminated Freemasonry who follow Luciferianism. Many of those techno-Luciferians are part of the Illuminati, part of the Masonry, or they're part of the Knights of Columbus, the Knights of Malta, because they're still falling under the Knights, because the Knights are higher than the Masons by way of the order of the Knights. They're older than the Masons. And this is why you have the movie Friday the 13th. You don't even understand who Jason Voorhees is. So this is what is important to understand, how Brother Wallace says, get out of this system. How can you escape yourself from this system? Well, this is a 7,000, 8,000 year system in order to control all the populace. And this is, as they said, this is the Magnus Opus. The great work was what? The New World Order, the United States, which is the Masonic Atlantis. Going back to what? The old Atlantis before the deluge, before the Great Flood. So I'm just showing y'all these examples of what Brother Wallace is trying to take your minds out of. This is the matrix that controls live and dead, the land of the living and the land of the dead. Because now this is the closeout. This is what they're operating under. The 1%, they're operating under the living law, which is what? Why they have trust. They have trust, so they were real and lawful. But you who don't have a trust, you are fiction, you are dead, you are what? Public. You are and what it says, corporations are legal persons. So you are underneath the corporation. You're in the dead realm. So when we saw the human race was underneath the corporation, well, this is what they think of you. You're fiction. You're not a real person. You're dead and you're public. And what they say is all legal and de facto. This is de facto for all the dead, people of the dead. But when you're living in the lawful land of the living, in the real world, the 1% world, they have trust. And then trust is what? Is the universal law. Because God gave it. This is why they tell you, in God we trust. Why do you think they tell you that on the back of your dollar? Because they are living in the real world. And they are what? Private citizens, because they are what? Entrusted, incorporated. See, this is how they are able to dictate who is real and who is not. So, and this is the dividing line. This is the knowledge that goes from you being dead to being resurrected to the land of the living. Well, these 1%, they're already in the land of the living, but they have set up the land of the dead for you and me and the rest of the humans. This is why they are called the 1%ers, because they are the only ones truly living. And we are only able or allowed to get into their land of their living through what they recognize is trust, because they also have to follow the universal law, which is the law of God, which is the law of trust. In God we trust. They tell you that. They don't tell you which God they trust, but they know that they are entrusted in the God that they believe in. And they say their God that they entrust is Lucifer. So this is how you must understand what Brother Wallace is trying to take you out of being dead to commercial law, being dead to the law of the sea, which is admiralty law, to being dead to statutory legislation, which is given to the public. So that's why I asked you, what are these tax-free exemptions? This is where the statutory law comes into play, where 501(c), because then you're working for these organizations, but they have to recognize, because you're falling under what jurisdiction that they have already set up for the dead, which is the public. And then underneath that, we have what these corporations, Google, Amazon, Meta World, all these corporations fall under that. And notice it's franchisees, descendants, debtors, wards of the state. See, wards of the state, going back to what I showed y'all initially at the very beginning of this discussion. So I want to close out there, and I thank Brother Wallace for giving me the platitude and time to show y'all the world structure and how each world structure is predicated through each one of these infographs I have provided thus far. I thank everyone for their time and space, and peace and blessings to you all. Thank you, Brother Wallace, again.
Yes, thank you as well, man. Thank you for everything we got presented tonight. Didn't want to hold anybody too much longer, but we're going to get right into it next week to talk about more of the real estate and how this is actually happening for us on the land. But anyone else that have any thoughts and questions next week, we'll come right into it with a live Q&A session. With that, we'll just go ahead and close out right here. Thank you all.